it's all that you heard. But I think one thing that I want to really quote today, we tend to overestimate the effect of technology. And I will pause there. If you talk to businesses 3-4 years ago, I think there is a rush to get bots. Oh, my competition is a bot. Either we bought it, I need to get a bot. I was speaking to one other customer. He said, hey, just finished a board meeting. The board decided that we need to get a bot. You have one. Bot is not something that you can plug and play. You need to really understand your business and what you're really solving for. But that's what the rest that you've seen. In the short run, it's fantastic. But in the longer run, you know what you're really driving? You're really driving customer the ability to self-service. Because they're able to engage in the bot and get what they need. I think both the speakers talked about great stories. You know, I have some of the not great stories in the bots. Whenever you use a bot, some of the businesses, you ask a question, they'll ask you to select 4 options. I said, I want to talk to an agent. You're not able to understand my question. Damn, let me talk to a person who can solve the problem. I don't know, I call it as a bot tool. And that's what we kind of underestimate. And that's what could drive bad customer experience. Because the customer has the option to self-service, but we not really thought about the customer journey. So I want to break my conversation today in about 5 different areas. I will talk a little bit about conversation CRM and the AI that you heard about AI, and I'll talk about AI in the context of CX and the customer journey, and of course customer intelligence. Talk about having great insights and it can drive actions. I think you heard about learn. And if you want to act, you need to have insights. And last about platform. But the first big bet, we talk about conversation CRM. Like today I was talking to some of the friends. You're talking, you know, I'm sure this conversation is flowing. How do we talk? We kind of talk to each other, we share the number. But how many times you go back and actually call the person? You actually probably WhatsApp. Hey, good meeting you. I can see the profile picture to ensure this. So, conversational CRM really enables you to really drive the way we speak to humans. The businesses has the ability to talk to humans. And about fast forward in 2030, I think every business will need to be live on this conversation CRM because this is what your customers want. It's not something that I'm telling you, it's what your customers want. Now let me break it down. So messaging is a great opportunity. I'll pause as messaging. Messaging can be perceived as, I was talking to a few of the customers in the last week. They said, hey Katie, I have messaging. What do you mean you have messaging? I have WhatsApp. Okay, great. What do you do on WhatsApp? Oh, we send, customer asks me a report, I send them. Alright? But the customer has a question on the report, they ask you back on the same WhatsApp, like they're talking to you and me. Hey dude, let's say if you talk to a friend, he invites you for birthday. The next thing that you'll ask, hey, where is the birthday celebration? You have a location. And those conversations, you need to be really enticing to the customers to drive. But not sending a report, driving message. You're just delivering the DAP report, what we used to get in the courier. Now we used to get a text. Now you're delivering on to WhatsApp. That's not about messaging. It's about how we communicate to humans. The business need to communicate to the customers because this is the most, I would say, favorite way of communicating. Customers want to communicate with you because that's where they communicate to friends and family. Now, this is where I want to stop and say, if you guys have learned about Jeff Bezos, everybody knows Jeff Bezos. I don't need an introduction of him. But he talked about one thing, what's not going to change. You know what's not going to change? Customers want faster way of responses. They want personalized and they want very, very personalized and fast. That's not going to change. Anything else can change. Your AI can come and go. If you have a way to deliver personalized, faster way to deliver, so be it, it doesn't need big technology. But that's the phenomenon of what Jeff Bezos talked about. Because the user messaging increases dramatically and it will also dominate in the market. Just take a trend. I think, also talked about CX trends just a while ago. And one of the trends that talks about in the last year itself, about a 40% increase of your customers and our customers are engaging businesses on social channels. If that's not important information for us to actually start engaging businesses on the messaging, I think we've got to really think about it. Now, why messaging? Why it is important? And I'll give you an example. I was talking to one of the customers yesterday. He was talking about they're building these beautiful experiences and they want to have a roadside exercise. roadside assistance, you know, your car breaks down or a vehicle, bike or whatever, the first thing you do, probably look for a, if you don't have if you're not a tech person, you will say, okay, where is the nearest service center? But if you're a tech savvy customer, then the first thing that you look at, hey, can I get quick help? Maybe I'm stuck in the middle of the road or middle of highway, I need help. And some of the times, if you're talking about evolution of automobile today, the electric cars, the electric bikes, everything is software and a bunch of battery. It's not more of your machinery that actually can get. More often not, there could be a loose connection somewhere, there could be a bad software patch that need to be upgraded to the bike to get it moving. Some things like this can be solved without the bike or the car going to a mechanic shop. It's simple things like that. Can you really drive it? Maybe they did that, they figured out that this car needs to go back to service center. But how do you really drive it? Maybe if you run the business, what if I deliver the map closest service center to the customer and say, hey, here is the closest service center, based on the location, go take your car, it will get service quickly. Because when I push the notification to the customer as a business, I've already looked. Could be Facebook Messenger, there could be other messaging channels which we have not forecasted so far. A Snapchat could be another, right? So if you're a business, you want to really build conversation CRM of the choice of customer, not something what's available today. But you say, if you're a customer, my customer wants on that particular channel, can they do everything on by itself without leaving the interface? Is what really made by messaging. Now, look at the power of messaging, and I'm going to give you a simple code. And if you ever flown the 𝗕𝗲𝗴 𝗕𝗲𝗂𝗁, which is the biggest flight, I think it's called, carrying about 500 people, per day maintenance of that is about $1.2 million. Imagine if there's an 𝗕𝗲𝗴 𝗕𝗲𝗂𝗁 for the Bangaloreans, I think the first flight of 𝗕𝗲𝗂𝗁 is going to land, I think, in a week or so, because our runway is not capable of landing 𝗕𝗲𝗂𝗁. Now they've enhanced it, it's going to land. So imagine it lands, and if they have to have a look at engine, maybe a malfunction, they got to fix it. So in the past, without messaging, you have to wait, you have to get the mechanics done, but there could be an opportunity where 𝗕𝗲𝗴 need to look at what's really happening in the engine to really fix it. With conversational CRM, imagine the power what the 𝗕𝗲𝗴 can do now. Now, if I'm an engineer, I actually look at my service of the vehicle. Maybe I need to actually bring in 𝗕𝗲𝗴 specialist into that and actually look at what's really happening and help us be able to fix it. So that way, you can get the flight quickly out, and you don't need to shell out that $1.2 million per day of leaving that, that big 𝗕𝗲𝗴 in the app. So that's the beauty about really building conversational CRM. Now the next big bet, I'll talk about AI. I think AI, we have seen it. Please, if there's a misconstitution, don't please understand that what is not AI. Maybe it's the beginning of AI. So we'll talk about that. AI today, it's all the service that we can deliver. If you want to go to CFO and say, I'm going to put technology, all my interactions with customer, the rudimentary interactions can be driven by technology. The customers never need to talk to a human being. Hence, I'm going to save X cost. I think the CFO will really love the conversation and tell me where I'm going to sign the doc, right? But 2030, fast forwarding, it's some of the bet that we take actually, AI will replace all line of customer interaction. Maybe today we are about 50 to 60% you can do it, but over the period of time, any customer interaction can be done through AI. And that's again a big bet. Now, Tesla actually driving across the river because it's automated car. While few years ago, we were all talking about, we need AI. Is AI really has a maturity that it was 2 years ago? 2 years ago, it's back. But thanks to pandemic, 2 years fast forwarding, AI is maturing. And with that, I think it will do about 60 to 70% of interactions. But in the context of customers, they will never understand. The bots or the AI probably will not understand today the emotions of a customer. I think if I talk to customers today, they say, hey, can you understand my language? Maybe it's Kannada or Tamil or whatever. It's easy to solve. How do you solve emotions? And that's what I think AI will evolve. And take that example of, a great example in healthcare, how AI is really helping. And I think this great example I was talking to was yesterday. He did a bit of analysis on his body, and what they predicted based on how is he running, because the angle of the foot, he has a 10 or 15% chances that is going to, it's going to impact his backbone very soon. That's the technology really probably predicting what could happen if he continues to do so. So you got to change it. Similarly, look at FDA. Actually saying AI can actually have 10% of improvement of detection rates of fractures. Isn't that what we want to really solve? Now, in context of customer experience, AI has worked particularly in automation. We talked about that. You ask a few questions, it gives you a few answers. I think it's fantastic, right? And because it can solve 30-40% of your rudimentary questions. I think it's a great thing. But in the future, I think this is where in the center box we have reactive. I think again, Robert talked about today, when the customer reaches out to you, remember you're already at the back foot, you got to respond. And that's where we are. And automation and recommendation can really help. But I think what we are actually going to expand into in the short run of 2 to 3 years is proactive. So you can identify and address the segment of customers and proactively inform what they got to do. It could be as simple as your vehicle would require a service and proactively tell them on those messaging channels probably, saying that, hey, would you need help in setting up an appointment? So you're actually proactively going and engaging and making connection and also suggesting, maybe if you actually wanted to get your schedule done on a weekend, we would probably encourage you to book an appointment 2 weeks ahead. Those weekends are busy. Now you're proactive. You're setting expectations. I think that's what AI can really help. But the future is preventive. And what I mean by that, you've got to identify what's really happening. And again, I'll take an example of automobile, and we can also apply to any other businesses that you got. If most customers are asking you the same question time and again, probably we might not have information in hand, so we might need to publish it, right? So that way the customers don't ask. But preventive means, because there are 5 customers who reported the same issue, probably there's a possibility that that particular model would require a recall. So it can identify the trend, and you can prevent those customers actually coming back and telling you that, I'm not happy because your car or product doesn't work. Because you can predict those, and that's where the AI can really, really help. And then you can really cultivate a habit of continuous learning process. And that's how AI gets better. And that's again, that's how we see the AI going to get better in the future. Now, this is again a great example. If you have been to Bangalore Airport, I think a great example, or even the ATMs, I'll give you both. But if you go to Bangalore Airport, there's one bot that keeps running across to help. Have you ever seen that bot? Anybody? Great. So, but the first bot that I've seen a few years ago in Korea, and about 2 years ago I was in Singapore, and I was in a hotel and I wanted water bottles. So all I said, I called up a service and I said I need water bottles. All of a sudden, and 5 minutes later, I saw the bell ringing and opened that, and I see a bot standing right in front of me, and open the box, and it's ready to pick up the bottles. So you just pick up the bottles and say done, and it will walk away. It can also help. I'm seeing in Bangalore, also in other countries, where it can help solve information. But that's how the evolution of AI is working across, right? And it can help automate simple rudimentary tasks that gets asked, and AI can really solve those customer interactions. The third big bet that we talk about today is customer journeys. Again, you heard it's important to define what the journeys are so that you can actually deliver the experience that you want. Remember, the journeys are the only entry point for driving experience. If you are not defining, you are at defense, and what we call as reactive. Reactive means customer self-service. They don't want to talk to us. We all believe that they want to talk to us. And again, I'll give you an example. Again, 3 days ago, I was talking to one of the business, and they in the business of farmers. The persona farmer, just think about this. The persona farmer, somebody wearing a dhoti, probably a whatever shirt, maybe a towel on the top, thinking about that old Nokia phone, 110 whatever, right? And that's what I thought. And that's incorrect. The customer told me it is 68% of my customers, my farmers, are actually on WhatsApp. They might not be using the fancy iPhone that we have, but they are a smartphone which is enabled. Again, we think the customers are not adopting and learning, but actually in reality, they are. Look at India, what about 4 billion people? With about 600 million smartphone devices that we have. And it's growing very rapidly. And that should be indication that 600 million is not all the cities, it is got beyond cities. So we got to just factor in and try this out so that your customers can actually really get it. Because when you actually get the customers on those channels, you can really drive hyper-personalized support, which probably would have been because you're really personalized. So let's talk about that. I'll again take a pause. And this is very familiar if you're running a contact center or your business, who had a contact center. And that's a script, by the way. The screenshot is only the script. So you call contact center, you say good afternoon or good morning, and then they give you a script. You know who's controlling this? The agent and the business is controlling the customer narrative. Do you think in today's setup, remember what you just said, you want to control, do you think that we can control the customer narrative? No, we cannot. Because customers really want to jump into the conversation, help them, they need the help that they need, and move on. The traditional script and standard operating procedures need to be challenged. And that's exactly what we have, right? But today look at simple application. You call a contact center, now press 1 for sales, press 2 for service, you press 2, then you say for reference, press this. The customer is getting tired. How many buttons you press, and then at the end of it you say, all agents are busy, please wait for 10 minutes to call. And do you think the customer today will wait? Because the competition is really evolving, and what they're doing is the other side. You've got to think about defining the journey. If it is a refund, you probably want to get them delivered on the favorite channels of theirs. Again, think about that. Maybe refunds need to be done quickly because that's a friction point. Identify the friction point, identify the useless cases, and define the journeys, and don't let the customer travel to the branches. That is not a very experience because the customers today want to get things done faster, more conveniently, and more personalized. And when you can do that, I think it will change how you drive loyalty to your customers. But again, I want to give you a quick stat, because we said customers will drive self-service. And again, this is again 𝗕𝗶𝗴 Zendesk report that was talked about. 61% of customers will leave if they have one bad experience. And this is the India data, basically. 61%. One bad experience. That's what we've been doing. Now we'll talk about it. But you say, maybe we have other 39% of the people that will talk. Another 15% will drop with second bad experience. We all know how difficult to acquire customers, how much of money that you spend to acquire a customer. And if you look at life cycle of a customer, you want the customer to be acquired and serve them over a period of time so that they are happy, they are loyal to you. When they build loyalty, you can actually imagine the customers bringing their family and friends to do business with you. And that's the reason it's important to think about the customer journey and map them so that you can deliver the set expectations and service and experience that you need. Now, the customers today dictate how they want to be given the store, not us. And again, go back in the memory lane in the last few years, some of the biggest businesses that they were there at that point of time. And I think if you're in Mumbai or in Bangalore, imagine about 8 years ago, what is the cab service that we used? Amount of the time that we used to wait in the line to put the cab. Do we ever call for a cab today? We don't. That's how the customers are changing, and because they want it faster, they want it more convenient, they want more personalized. If we don't think about that, the customer will move away. They might not have bad experience because it's there, and that could be a trigger point for us to think about customer journeys. The fourth big bet is customer intelligence. I think again, insights for the customer data actually will help. And again, I will talk about it, right? But we believe by 2030, the notion of system of record will change. Again, I love asking this question and get feedback. How many of you know that Customer 360 exists and you all of you use? Anybody uses Customer 360? Customer 360, you know? Great, right? Because Customer 360, we all believe that, you know, you can tie all the information and it will have loads and loads of data and it can empower. And I'm going to call is a myth. It's not about having all the data. It's about what you're going to do with the data. Again, imagine you putting a stress on your agent. Again, this is beautiful, right? Businesses, few years ago, we used to struggle because we never used to have a digital footprint of a customer. We never used to have a data. We all used to struggle. Now, fast forward, we have all the data. What are you going to do with it? I don't know. We have a lot of data. What are you going to do? So, having data will not help. Having insights will help. Because when you have insight, you can score. When you can score, you can get better. And how are you going to do it? Because across the world, the data privacy laws are changing. Again, I'm going to give you an example of how GDPR really revolutionized data privacy. And if you don't believe it, even Government of India is thinking about launching a data privacy law. Again, a myth is, hey, data privacy is nothing but having a data center in India and having data in India. No, that's data locality. What is data privacy? It's about having a consent from a customer that you got to take consent from me that you can use my data. Don't take my word for it. Just 3 days ago, South Korea has penalized Meta and Google for $72 million for using the data without consent. Imagine that what's happening across the world. So it's very, very important to have right data, right insight, right consent. Once you have all of that, you can really personalize your experience. When you personalize, look at what McKinsey is talking about. 40% more revenue that you can really drive and drive personalized services. So these are the things that we got to think as we build the customer intelligence. Because eventually, the challenge of notation of the data that I said, right? Because imagine now the customers need to give you consent. So my system of record that you're building on the customer 360 will be challenged. The customer said, don't store my data. Don't call me. Yeah. And in WhatsApp also, remember what happened a few years ago, that WhatsApp was struggling to get the data privacy laws of India, and each one of us need to agree for the data privacy law to use WhatsApp. All of us, like it or don't like it, will agree to the terms, right? In this context, it's important to think about how the world will evolve when the customer doesn't give you consent. How are we going to build customer 360? I think that's what we're going to think about it, right? As we build for the future for 2025 and 2030, we've got to think about these nuances as it's evolving. We've got to get better at them. The fifth big bet that we have is about platform. It's important as we think about rapid application development that we see in the globe. But I'm going to talk about composability low code actually can make it easier, because today's customer want it fast, right? So businesses, what we want to get things done quickly, deliver something to customer so that we can engage them. And that's what no code will help you today. But by 2030, what we actually predict and also put bet on, the development work that anything that you need will be done by people in the room and businesses, and we call them citizen developers. These are not techies who write codes. These are citizen developers who can help do things faster. The business people who can do this faster is where we think of big bet is. So let me talk about 𝗕𝗶𝗴 𝗕𝗲𝗁. Look at the Gartner code. 70% of new applications developed by organizations uses low code, no code by 2025. Because it's a rapid application development, you need to act quickly. You can't wait for a 1 year, 2 years project to deliver something to the customer. You're too late. The world will change by the time you start the project to end the project. And that's the reason today's projects are smaller. You've got to think about what I'm going to do, how quickly I'm going to get, and how I'm going to get better to my customer experience, right? So for which we believe the platforms will really help. That means you have something ready to do, and you plug it in and move on. So composability becomes very, very key in how we deliver. And again, I talked about citizen developers, and we believe with this low code, no code, will it remove techies? No. The techies or engineers can deliver something back to you 20% faster, 20x faster. But also, it brings in a larger population of developers who contribute back. It's simple business application that you need to get it done, like a drag and drop. All of us should be able to do it. Why Again, the reusability and composability that we talked about today is actually a multiplying factor. Because you think about technical architecture of any of your enterprise architects, they tell you we have microservices. What do you mean with it? That means you build this platform, you expose the bit of data, then we consume. I think it's, again, the good example that I can give you about this, not from reusability. Today's authentication of a citizen becomes super easy. How we get authenticated? Aadhaar authenticated. Right? Simple. Imagine 5 years ago, when did we have that? All of us used to build our own login mechanisms, authentication mechanisms, and figuring out, right? But the world is moving very, very fast, and all of us will think about how we create this composability so that you in the business can reuse something that you built. And again, referencing back to the CX world, we used to have different systems to hold customer record. And we used to call this golden record of customer. So what is the golden record of customer? CRM? Is it order management system? I don't know. So we were thinking and solving customer deduplication earlier. But now, I'm sure every business can actually identify where the customer is without even worrying about where the customer record is stored. Because you can use that customer object to actually drive actions. And again, great example of Chris Dixon that I can give you. Composability is a compound interest of software. You invest in here so that it can give you benefits over a period of time. Again, a quick summary. We talked about a lot today, but I'm going to put it in again, same 5 categories of our big bets. The conversations here, this is where the world is evolving and moving into. Like I said, think about, go back and reflect upon how your customers want to engage with you. Not how you want them to be engaged. How your customers want to engage with you is the primary phase and how you want to build experience. That's how use the AI. Maybe the AI today will be, AI first in CX, but all customer interactions will eventually move to AI, and that's a big bet. We talked about journeys, but customer intelligence and platform. See, this is the 5 big bets that we put. If you ask me personally, it's bets. Maybe 50% of them will come to. I just don't know which 50%. I think I'm not sure. These are the resonating facts because the customers are evolving and the needs are evolving and the world is evolving faster. But having rightly invested, going back to 𝗕𝗲𝗴𝗊 what he said, what's not going to change is customers want it faster, convenient, and personalized. If we keep that as a theme, these will eventually help you to build great customer experiences. With that, I want to say thank you for patient listening. And I'm here if you want to catch up for a conversation. Like Prasad said, we have a booth out there. If you want to catch me, I'll be at the booth. Happy to have a conversation and talk about how you can drive conversations CRM in your business. Thank you very much.